Monday, September 8th. It's 3. It's late in the day, and I'm just catching up here. So this is the deconstruction of today's trade. Sleepover trade. So here's where we wound up on this one. Right here, a total profit of 197. This is a floating levitation trade. Can't lose position. By 197 bucks. 197 bean burritos. So let me back out of this and I'll show you how this all panned out today. So let's see here. I'm gonna uncheck these trades and get back to how the position existed at the morning open. Okay, here's how we came into the trade today. And because it's 3 in the afternoon, this pink line is all crazy, funky looking. The pink line was bowed like a rainbow all across here. Okay, so here's how the position opened this morning. Again, it was another update. We gapped up, I think, 10 points. And so we were up in this area when we opened. And then this is just how I managed the trade as we progressed throughout the day. The first thing I did was, I think right close to after the open, I got rid of this risk. I removed these spreads. Not all of them, but enough to completely eliminate all the risk here in this trade and put it above the 0 line. So what I did was I just bought this leg back here, which I was able to do for $5, the cheapest I could possibly get it. So I bought back 7 of these spreads at $5. It gave me this trade. And again, I didn't buy them all. I could have bought all of them and flattened it out, but since we were up here and we had to run through the rainbow was bowed up through the profit, like into a nice profit. And so in order to get down here, we'd have to run through that profit, which would give me the opportunity to take it off into profit. So I just took off most of them. And I also, you'll see in a second why the other reason why I didn't take them all off. There's another adjustment that'll be made that'll pop that above the 0 line. So that's the first thing I did. I think the second trade I did was I got rid of these. Since we had gapped up, this little XSP bump hedge was pretty much at full value. Here it is right here. I put an order in to get out of those at 98 cents. The most it can make ever is $1. So if I can get 98, let's just get rid of it and grab that profit and secure it. So I did that. That's right. So it gave me that. And that's why I only bought 7 of these spreads, because as soon as that position was done, I bought that little bump hedge back. It brought everything above 0 by $2. Hey, my favorite movie clip. I want my $2.
$2 cash.
Okay, so here's the position at that point. We had no risk. This was a levitation trade, like right off first thing in the morning. We were floating by a measly 2 bean burritos. And then from that point on, I could have just left it. That would have been the beginner friendly version. Just leave the thing to go, and this day will be like a break even, basically, or a $1 or $2 profit. Or if it moves back, we have a great profit potential in this tent, $2,000 now in this tent. If it keeps going, we have up to $4,000 up here, all the way to 0. So I could have left it, but I wanted to, you know me, I can't help mucking with things and playing around with things. So I wanted to see if I could get this a little bit higher. Since I was thinking, well, this would probably be a break-even day or a slight profit day. Let's see if I can milk as much as I can out of it safely, with minimal risk being taken, to get some more profit out of it. So that's what that's where my journey was next, to do that. So let's see what I did here. That's the first thing I did. I just put on a little Lookma no hands trade right here. I think we were trading about right there too at the time. So now at this point, I gave myself $128 worth of risk, but I bumped up this area here where I could make $372. So before, I could only make $2 all the way down to here. By doing this, it gave me the chance to make up to 372 here. But I did it right in tandem. I did these two trades together. I did one on either side, like this. with where the price was right in the center. And so with both of them, my thought was that most likely, this was early on in the day, most likely we will move one way or the other, and I can scalp out of this. Once I have this in, if we move this way, I can get out of these at a profit and improve the overall position. Or if it goes up, I can do the same thing. I was just pretty certain that we would get a movement one way or the other, enough for me to do that. And at that point, this pink line was floating nicely. It wasn't down where it's at now. This was early on in the day. We had a nice bridge over that whole thing, which we were still in profit at that point. So the next thing I did was, I guess, this one. That's right. So what happened here was we started to move up, and I think we even started to kind of go up this ledge a little bit, a little up move. So I did exactly what I just described. As we came up, I just took profit on that one. I got out of that. And then immediately I did this, another look-ma trade. At this point, we were right here because we had moved up. So I put another look-ma trade on right there. At this point, the total potential loss was 248. We were about halfway up this hill at that point. So these are just a combination of look-mas, like look-ma straddles kind of. One on either side with movement, just carving and what do they call it? Scalping profits out of it. So after that, I believe we moved back down. We did. So we moved, after this trade was put on, we moved back down. I scalped profits out of that one. Put us at 37. And then we came down here towards, not at the very end of the day, but towards like middle of the day, I think it was. We came down enough up in here. I think we came up to about here, so around 64.80-ish. And that gave me the opportunity to scalp this one, which gave me this position of 197 bucks. And that's where I just left it. I just stuck a fork in it at that point. So that's the total, that's the overall position, the final position for today. 197 on a day where it moved against us. So if I had done nothing on this trade, I would have, let's go back and see if I had just done absolutely nothing on this trade today. We would have wound up with $51 worth of profit. So I made about $150 more, 150 bucks more than if I had done nothing. But doing nothing is fine as well. I mean, there's work involved and all that. But there's always this risk here, which I wouldn't be comfortable really with all day. So had I done nothing, I would have wound up with 51 bucks for today on this, on a trade that moved against me. And if I had just taken off the risk, made it a levitation trade, like this, with no risk, I could have had this position with just taking off those two legs, that leg and the little bump leg. I could have wound up with $2.
$2.
And basically done nothing. Just take out, just a couple of quick management buybacks at sellouts at the opening of the market. Just removing those spreads. But you know me, I couldn't keep my hands off of it. So I just tinkered with it and wound up with this trade here, 197 bucks. All right, so that's it for this one. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to keep a tally here. Let me find that. Give me just one moment. Okay, so here's a quick little tally that I'm working on that I just started last week, starting with the day after Labor Day. So this is last week's sleepover trades. There were 4 days last week because of the holiday. There was a holiday on Monday, so then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So here's the results from last week. $5 on one day. The next day, $405. The next day, $251. The next day, $345. So that's $1,006 for the week. Well, for 4 days, so it's not even quite a full week. And that's on a margin that doesn't exceed let's just say 4,000 or less. I think a lot of those were 3,000, but to be safe, let's just say that's 4,000. So that's 25% for last week, which is not too shabby. Let me put in today's. So this is going to be, I'm going to skip a couple rows to make it, the weekend was in there. So today is September, September 8, 9/8, 9/8/25. Today we made 197. And so I'm just going to keep this tally as we move forward here. And as I prepare to scale this sucker, which maybe next week I'll start, we'll see how this week goes. But then how do I sum this up now? I'm not really familiar with this. So there's the totals on it. So that's a total of 5 trading days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A week and a day. And $1,203. Let me just get a rough estimate of what that return is. So let's just use 4,000. I mean, a lot of these trades weren't using 4,000, but I think right around 4,000 was the most ever used on these. So let's just use 4,000, and let's see if I remember how to do this correctly. So we made 1203. 1203 divided by 4,000 margin equals. So that's 30%. 30% in 5 days. So not too shabby. And the other thing to consider is that's our technical risk. So that's what the broker is going to require us to have on margin, or to have in the account to make the trade. But I don't consider that my real risk on these. I mean, it's technically the real risk, but as I kind of tried to explain in my other videos, the real risk on these is where the pink line is at. And these trades start off with the pink line, bowed or floating flat. And that's what I consider my real risk, because if we get into an area where there's potential danger, I have the opportunity to get out. And so it's not like it's just going to all of a sudden cave in. The real risk, the real momentary risk at any given time is where the pink line is. So in reality, I consider the risk to be way, way, way less than, say, 4,000 on a trade. $4,000 is the absolute worst case scenario if you were to faint and fall asleep or go into a coma and not manage the trade, and then it just wound up trading right somehow specifically in that spot at the end of the day. At least that's what I try to convince myself when I can't fall asleep at night. All right, that's it for this one. See you tomorrow.